From Cedar Park, Texas, live, it's Timberwolf Night in America. This is the Vype Live Network, and tonight we kick off another season of nonstop honking of the Cedar Park football horn. I'm the V of the T voice of the Timberwolves, Brad Cohn. We're a little late because of technical difficulties, so we'll run about 3 or 4 minutes long tonight, past 9 o'clock. It's our first show of the season, 122nd show overall, and 9+ seasons spread out over 11 years now. We're live from our new venue tonight, Alzer's Barbecue near the corner of Cypress Creek Road and Old 183 just behind the CVS there. We'll be here until a little after 9 o'clock. Come on over and join us. With me tonight, as we kick off a brand new season for this outstanding football program, he's the king of Laces Out, the former whiteout, a member of our 2010 district championship team and regional finalist. Respected archaeologists dig through his trash. His Cinco de Mayo party starts on the 8th of March. He bowls overhand. It's the donut hole, our doctor of footballogy. There ain't no bolder holder than my own personal Chris Collinsworth, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, lifetime Timberwolf. Almost got through that whole thing. Josh Willard.
Oh, thank you, via the T, Brad Cohn. So happy to be back here with our normal crew. We got Mr. Boschelt. We got Mr. Craig Weems. I said Craig this time, all right? And then we do have Yancey Culp in the house. We got my boy Mike Paws over here from Hearth, from my job. So, I mean, it's just football season. Ready to have everybody together and talk about this great team and what we have ahead of us.
And Shane Showinski, our quality assurance agent tonight. Sorry, Shane, we had so many technical difficulties here. Soon and I were on the phone with each other for about an hour, ending 3 or 4 minutes ago, just to get where we are right now. So I hope everything's coming across okay. He will be closely and diligently monitoring the broadcast from that super-secret, high-tech, low-maintenance, ultra-modern, technically advanced, stealthily cloaked pinnacle of online broadcast technology that we call the Vype Studios, making sure that Josh and I here don't sound like a length of chain thrown into a wood chipper. Tonight we're excited to have with us several fascinating folks as we have our first guest of the season. We'll talk extensively, of course, with second-year head coach Michael Quintero. We'll also have Booster Club polymath Kathy Tam and conditioning guru Yancey Culp. We're scheduled to have the football program's online influencer, senior Katie Whitmarsh. She may not be able to make it because she's covering an event at the school tonight. She'll try to scamper on down here. But at least 3 of these 4 folks will join us in talking Timberwolf football here on the show tonight.
Absolutely, and just excited again, Coach Q in his second year. Excited to get him, on the mic and just to hear how these boys were preparing through spring ball now that Coach Q had a full spring ball under his belt, and then also with the summer workout. So just excited also for the Timberwolf family to get to hear Yancey Culp and what he's done for this program. He's done so much for me and my family. So just really excited to have this Timberwolf family together again.
Man, when we talk with Kathy Tam, we'll mainly be talking with her about the Booster Club's functions this time of year, what kind of help they might need from you if you want to volunteer, that sort of thing. Now, for those of you new to this, we'll do this show every week from now through the end of the season. Every Tuesday night prior to Friday night's game, Josh and I will be here at Alzer's broadcasting Timberwolf Night in America. And even during the bye week, which is coming up here fairly quickly in just 4 weeks, we'll actually do a show with some special guests from outside the Cedar Park football program, including some of our hosts here at Alzer's will be on that night.
Yeah, really excited just to have this season underway again, and I really like that we're going to be adding that show during the bye week. We've just gotten together with so much of the Timberwolf community. We have a huge opportunity to just shine a light on all the other great programs that we have here, so just really excited again. Oh, my gosh, I'm just giddy, Brad. I'm giddy to be here.
Me too. I'm giddy for another reason. This is a historic day in my life. On the scales this morning, I was under 200 pounds for the first time since the early 1980s. I'm at 198, have not been that low since the early 1980s. That's basically since all of my kids have been alive. So I'm real happy about that. Here's this year's Booster Club sponsors. And listen up, because there's a lot of them are new. Kathy Tam's done a great job getting people on. Covert Ford, Sewell Land Rover and Jaguar, the Mission of Hope, Life Family, Reap Financial, TJ Lewis Real Estate, Raising Canes, Kathy Tam Photography, Mungia Real Estate, ROI Sport Performance and Physical Therapy, One Stop, Rudy's Barbecue, Army Ant Moving, Majori's, and H-E-B. And here's what's on the menu here at Owlsers for tonight's show. We'll start with a little bit about who we are and what the show is. We'll talk about changes and how the game broadcasts are offered this fall. Josh will do the season's first State of the Program update. We'll have a brief post-mortem on 2021, a walk through the wonderful world of Willard with the Willard of Oz himself, and we'll talk with head coach Michael Quintero. We think Katie Whitmarsh may be here, but we're not sure if she'll be here or not. If not, Coach Q gets to talk a little longer. Yancey Culp will talk with us about the amazing conditioning program he runs and other things. Booster Club Vice President Kathy Tam will talk about the club and its functions and what kind of help they could use possibly from you if you'd like to volunteer. Then we'll reveal a new trivia contest we'll be doing between Josh and each set of player guests this season. And I got a pair of audio clips that will absolutely set your hair on fire for Cedar Park football. And finally, we'll preview the season opener versus Cedar Ridge Friday night with Coach Quintero. All right, we're aware that every year the active Timberwolf fan base turns over by about a quarter. A fourth of last year's fans have graduated out the top of the program quarter. This year's fans just coming into the family from the middle school. So a lot of you don't really know who we are. We're going to spend a few minutes here at the beginning of the season describing who Josh and I are and what this show is. I'm Brad Cohn, 63 years old. How did that happen so fast, by the way? Lanier High School class of 77, University of Texas class of 83, Cedar Park resident since 88. Fairly recently retired. From 38 years as an IT professional, I designed the first website of a Texas state government agency in 93, then managed the team that developed and ran all 7 agency sites until 2016. In high school, I played only 1 year of varsity football due to a severe knee injury and a punt return, and a doctor's resultant heavy recommendation to pull back to less violent sports. Now, as a good hitter for average in baseball, excellent on defense as a middle infielder. I didn't play either of those sports well enough, nor have the size or speed required to play collegiately, though. I studied at the UT School of Journalism for the first 2.5 years of college. I worked in the sports department of the Daily Texan newspaper, which we on the inside call the Deadly Toxin. In my sports coverage career at UT, I did get the first local interview with Earl Campbell after we returned from New York City, having won the Heisman, corralling him as he stepped off the plane. I also drew the short straw during our 78 Cotton Bowl coverage, and I had to interview the opposing quarterback after the game. Unfortunately, the undefeated and then number 1 ranked Horns lost that national championship game. My interview was with a relatively unknown young Irish junior quarterback named Joe Montana. I was a cameraman for Austin City Limits. I worked in every role on campus television news broadcast. But while doing all this, I came into knowledge that many of you have come into a bit more recently, and that is that our mainstream media in this nation is run mainly by personalities who see that function more as a way to force feed you their own peculiar worldview than to bring you facts and unbent analysis. I didn't much care to be around those people, even though I enjoyed performing the tasks of the profession. I changed majors, ended up with a degree in computer science where, unlike mainstream journalism, facts and logic are the only things that matter. I worked 7 years at Texas Instruments in mainframe computer operations and 31 years at the Texas Education Agency as a systems analyst and web developer and team leader. Just prior to the day Cedar Park High opened in '98, the original principal, Ron Lefevre, recruited me to be the football, basketball, baseball, stadium, and arena announcers, and I'm still doing those jobs 24 years later. The only difference being that I've moved from the stadium announcer to the play-by-play broadcaster for baseball. In doing these jobs, I've gotten to enjoy being a small part of 4 state championship teams, 2 in football, now 2 in women's basketball. I'm still the stadium voice of the GUP for home football games, and I also host the pregame, halftime, and postgame shows on the broadcast for those games, while Josh here does the play-by-play at home. Any of our games not played at the GUP, I do play-by-play, and Josh does color. I have some other announcing gigs. I'm also the arena and stadium voice for Concordia University basketball and baseball. And from 9 through 14, I was the voice of the UIL State basketball tournament down at the Irwin Center. I've also worked some basketball, softball, and soccer games for St. Ed's. I've done play-by-play for arena football. I've done some stadium announcing for University of Texas softball. I've done play-by-play for other teams for KMAC and Vype deep into the football playoffs when Cedar Park had been eliminated earlier. I still got something tickling my throat. Due to good critical reception for several articles I've written that have been published in various locations in the state, I've been inducted into the Texas Sports Writers Association. But of all these various engagements, this is the one I cherish the most. If the sporting gods told me I had to give up all these announcing and broadcasting gigs and could keep only one, that one would be Timberwolf football. Broadcasting Cedar Park football each week in the fall is the highlight of my year every year. Josh and I have gotten to meet and befriend so many good people through the years. I can barely go to H-E-B or out to eat around here without running into somebody I know or have known in the past from Timberwolf football or baseball or basketball. We both sincerely thank you all for having us do this very enjoyable and fulfilling job.
I mean, hard to follow that up right there, but if I could just take all these Timberwolf folk through my Timberwolf experience, it really started with my two older brothers. My family moved here from North Carolina back in 2000, and we brought the good news out to Texas, and that is Krispy Kreme donuts, one a day like a vitamin, and that's okay and approved by your doctor. But we moved out here, and I remember with the first week or the first summer, we were in elementary school, and we all signed up for basketball camp because that's what we do in North Carolina, and we were actually the only three at basketball camp in the middle of the summer. And we asked, like, where's all the kids? And they're all at football camp. So we immediately got submersed into the football culture when we moved to Texas. We moved over to the Cedar Park community in around 2005. So I was able to go to Cedar Park Middle School, then go through the Cedar Park High School system. And I can just tell you that when we were at Cedar Park my freshman year, the coaching staff that we had, it was remarkable, the amount of leaders that we had on our coaching staff. And if you look at the coaching tree from our team, in the late early aughts, it's remarkable to see how many coaches have gone on to become head coach, like Michael Quintero sitting right in front of us right now. So just really blessed with the amount of leadership and men that we had pouring into us in the Cedar Park community. Ended up playing slot receiver my senior year. I didn't necessarily get the most shine because I was playing behind the all-time assist leader at West Point, Dylan Cox. Now, let me tell you, that boy,
one of our best receivers ever.
I mean, he could high point and go get that dog. I mean, let me say, he was going to go get that 50-50 ball. But then Joseph Washington, just our receiving room was really competitive and really fun to be a part of. But I'm sorry, I am the greatest, and I'll take it to the grave, the best field goal holder, place kick holder. You will not find anybody that will get laces out any more than me, and I don't want to hear anything from Cole Kruger. I don't want to hear none of that slander, all right? I'm the king of laces out. But really just –
Yeah, we heard that you're the best holder of your kicker's balls.
I actually said that to Gray at his wedding. I held Gray's balls for a couple of years and just knew him in and out. And but truly just being a part of this Cedar Park community, and we're going to get to talk to Yancey in a little bit as well, just the ability to get kids to buy into being competitive and not worrying about what the other team is doing. That's what this Cedar Park community is built off of, and it's just so satisfying to see. Wow, Brad, you said you're 10 years later I've been graduated now. Holy zoinks. Just to see that this program is still, firing on all cylinders, getting kids to buy in and believing to commit to each other. That's what this program is about. So I unfortunately was not blessed to go in the first round of the NFL draft, despite what everybody was thinking about my talents. So then that's when I found this opportunity to come onto the broadcast. My uncle Jim Byerly, was on the broadcast with Brad Cohn. And he kind of, invited me to come hang out for a little bit. And, now we're here doing this show 10 years later. And Brad's exactly right. The highlight of my week is talking Timberwolf football, watching Timberwolf football, and getting jacked up about Timberwolf football. So just really excited as we get a new crop of kids just every single year, because I don't know these kids anymore. I mean, I was in the program, so there was a time where I knew the kids coming up. And, I mean, even my friends' little brothers are graduated now. It's so far gone. But that's the beauty of this program, is that you just don't lose that fire. And we really do appreciate the opportunities that we get to follow this team. It really is a joy and a passion of ours. And, man, we get another season, Brad.
Here we go again. And there's another name and voice you'll hear on a broadcast on game nights. That's Cecil Kokenauer. Various other commitments preclude his joining us Tuesday nights here on TNIA, but Cecil has been the crew's technical producer and home game color commentator since 2012. We're very lucky to have him. He has been and still remains Vype's most talented technician in that production role. He probably could have solved our problem tonight that we had. His quick thinking and his innovative solutions to various problems we've faced throughout the years have often been the reason we were able to get a broadcast up and running at all in some of these many games over the decade that Cecil's been with us. Our crew, I don't know if you realize this, Josh, our crew's been together longer than the Beatles. They replaced Pete Best with Ringo Starr in 1962, broke up in 70, 8 years. The three of us started together in 2012. Here we are in 2022, 10 years.
How you like them apples?
I like them apples. All right, now let's talk about this show. KMAC Sports and Chuck Licata recruited me to do the broadcasting roles for football and baseball for Cedar Park in 2008. So 2022 is our 15th season to broadcast Timberwolf football, and this coming spring of 23 will be our 16th season for Cedar Park baseball. Now, due to yet another role I have here, statistician for the football coaches, I have a lot of cool information that we can present during broadcast. Too much, as it turned out, for the few minutes we have on a pregame show. So we decided back in 2011 to start this Cedar Park football talk show thing on a weeknight so we could present some of this extra stuff we had, and also to be able to get players and coaches on as guests. Josh joined us the second year, 2012. The first 2 years we did it, we broadcast from my dining room table. And then I think Coach Quintero was in one of those. I remember him sitting in my living room waiting to come on. As he's an assistant coach back then. And then for 2 seasons, 13 and 14, we didn't do the show. 13 was the year the coach had dropped the broadcast deal with KMAC, and Josh and I had the Booster Club. We had to cobble together some cheaper equipment and streaming providers to do the games. In 2014, Coach realized his mistake, and we came back to KMAC, but that fall was a big web redesign time for me at work, and there were extra hours required downtown, and I just frankly didn't have the time to put into doing TNI in 2014. But we came back with it in 15. Good thing, too. What with the undefeated state championship and all, and we've been doing it ever since. We were at a now-defunct burger joint over near Buttercup in 183 in 15 and 16, over at Mouton's in 17, split between Mouton's and Majori's in 18, then at Mag's exclusively for 19 and 20, Santa Catarina last year in 21, now here at Alzer's for 22. So counting my dining room, we're in our 6th venue. When we started out in 11, there was no other high school program in Texas with their own dedicated weekly broadcast talk show. These days, there are several dozen, but Josh, we are the trendsetters. We were the first one to do this.
Yeah, and I think it is just because people really realize that there is a lot to talk about their football teams and their communities. And, I mean, just hats off to you, Brad, because you were the pioneer for KMAC and then Vype on doing these weekly shows. Everybody was focused on bringing the action on Friday nights, but that's the beauty of this. I mean, this is football. This is what puts butts in seats, and this is what pays the bills. And I'm telling you, the Cedar Park team, we have so much to talk about, and just – you know, we can't cover it in a pregame and a postgame show on Friday nights. So to be able to have these Timberwolf Night in America shows, we've really enjoyed it. It's given us an opportunity to meet these players one-on-one, the position coaches, get to know them in and out, so that when we are calling these games on Friday night, when I'm bringing that oomph, it's for real. Just really, you know, we really are blessed with this opportunity to be with this, with not only Vype, but with this Cedar Park community.
And as they were last season, the live game broadcasts are pay-per-view this year. A change is that the game links will be found only on Vype.com. Last year, they were also on VypeLive.com. Got to go to Vype.com to find them now. You'll go to that site, Vype.com, during the week before the game you want to watch, and there'll be a link on the page that takes you to a place where you can buy a ticket, so to speak, for the game you want to watch. This pay-per-view arrangement for the game broadcast does not come into effect with this show, Timberwolf Night in America, just like you have tonight and like we always have. You just go to VypeLive.com, click on Talk Shows, and right under that's a link to the current Timberwolf Night in America show. And as the season goes on, scrolling down on that same page will get you back to the earlier shows, too. You'll be able to find the whole TNIA season there by the end of the year. Also, some good news here. It appears now that the UIL has permanently rescinded its longtime policy that always prohibited the video component of live broadcasts of Friday night games. We always had to be audio only on Friday nights. We've always been able to provide live video for you with games played at any other time, Thursday night, Saturday, or even during the day Fridays. But Friday night, live video has always been prohibited. You can only get the video component married to the audio on the replays later on. Now, that was rescinded last year because of COVID, and it will be again this year, and apparently it's now gone forever. So many of you who can't or don't want to come to the games can still see the Timberwolves play live on our broadcast. We are so happy to have that restriction lifted permanently. And now, here's Josh with our first 2022 State of the Program update.
I mean, and you might just buckle up for this one right here because it's been a while since we went through this. But the all-time record for Cedar Park football now 209 and 77. They're now 109-34 in district games, 53-29 in regular season non-district games, and a whopping 43-15 in the playoffs. And this program is 37-8 against all other LISD teams, 97-29 at home all time, and 112 games to 48 losses away from home. And let me just go ahead and put this one to sprinkle on top. 63-7 at the GUP.
That's good.
That's good stuff right there. We need more of that. And Cedar Park's record against top 10 teams, we're now 25-16. And the record for Cedar Park playing as a top 10 ranked team is now 92-15. And while playing as the number 1 ranked team. So 21 – oh, excuse me, that was a comma right there. I need to get better at my reading. This is week 1, baby. But while playing as the number 1 ranked team, we're 21-1.
That's astoundingly good.
Okay, I mean, I have to do a trivia question. Who was the one lost to?
Remember that one? That was us trying to do that cobbled-together fly-tonight broadcast from Abilene against Abilene Cooper. Last play field goal, we lost it.
Lorenzo Joe. I'll never forget that name, baby. Lorenzo Joe. And the program has now won 12 district championships in 22 years of UIL competition, including 8 in the last 10 years. And they've made it to the regional finals 7 times, won 4 regional titles, and have never lost a state semifinal game. Still the biggest hit I've ever seen in my life against Thomas Middleton against Manor. My Lord. And that was on the bad end of the stick. Yeah, sorry about that.
Keep that in mind for later.
Heyo. And also the program, here we are, has not had a losing season since 2003. That was just 3 years after I came to Texas. And before that, before any of the current players were born. That's a great side right there.
Amazing. Yeah, that's amazing.
Unbelievable. And this is a resume that ranks among the top high school football programs in the state of Texas, and might as well just go ahead and throw in the United States.
Indeed so. Thanks, Josh. Remarkable list of achievements for this program. I do want to point out that most of this impressive record's been amassed since 2007 in these last 15 seasons. The first 9 seasons, 99 through 07, saw just about a 500 record in all these categories. There were just 2 good seasons there when both the 01 and 04 teams won their district crowns with undefeated records, but there were a grand total of only 4 playoff wins those entire 9 years. The program began to turn around with the arrival of Chris Ross for the 2005 season.
And I remember truly, I mean, when we were submersed into the Cedar Park community, the first real football game that I remember me and my 2 brothers and my dad traveling to was the playoff game in Waco against Lufkin and Jaworski Lane and Des Bryant. Yeah, you can't leave him out. But I remember just seeing our Timberwolves just battle that entire game. That just kind of got me and my brothers like, okay, well, we want to go do that. And then with the revamp of Coach Ross and all those coaches that came along, Coach Q, I mean, there was just a new life of, okay, we want to be winners. And that's what we've done since.
Yeah, that Lufkin team was ranked number 9 in the U.S., number 2 in the state. Like I said, Des Bryant, he was a sophomore, he caught his first career touchdown pass against us in the third quarter.
Des caught it.
But, we were right there, and a couple weeks later, Lufkin played in the state title game and lost on a last play of the game field goal to South Lake Carroll. So that's how close we were in 04. Wow. Yeah. All right, 2021 brief postmortem. If you've ever paused while walking the long hallway in the football building and read the wall hangings there chronicling each Cedar Park team season, well, I'm the guy that writes those things. Coach recently asked me for the summary of last year's team for our 2021 postmortem. Tonight I'll read what will be on that plaque when it's hung in the hallway. Here it is, quote, 2021 was a rare rebuilding year with the cards stacked against the Timberwolves as far as the number of hardships faced. The previous year saw the graduation of the largest senior class ever. The incoming senior class is one of the smallest ever. There's a new coaching regime to settle in, and all their opponents remembered the 50-point margin beatings they'd gotten from us the year before. Yet this team still qualified for the postseason and went 3 rounds deep in the playoffs, and that's farther than any other team in the district. Yes, the team registered the first losing home record since '03. The first district finished below first or second since '08. Still, a look at how the season progressed shows some impressive things. There were only 2 games against teams with which the T-Wolves didn't contend. The season opener against Vandy and the closer in the playoffs against eventual state champ Katy Paetow. But changed the outcome of just a small handful of plays across those other 4 losses, and all of them would have become wins. Thus, the 2021 team was just a few good plays away from going 11-2. The Timberwolves were in a position late in the games against Round Rock, Weiss, and Manor to win all of those, but just couldn't hang on. The loss to Hendrickson was an absolute fluke. It was a prime example of an opponent who'd vowed revenge for previous large margin losses. The Hawks never beat another good team the rest of the year. Also, this 21 team put together an impressive playoff run immediately after suffering 2 regular season closing defeats. The come-from-behind multiple overtime road thriller against Buda Johnson in the first round was a clash for the ages. The absolute dismantling of well-regarded Angleton in the second round was no doubt our team's best performance of the season, and in a very subtle confirmation of what this program has become. The 2021 Timberwolves added to an impressive and little-known streak. Since 2009, think about this, folks, listen closely. Since 2009, in 9 of those next 12 seasons, going up to 2021, 9 of those 12, Cedar Park either was the state champion or it took the state champion or a team that would play in the state championship game to knock them from the playoffs. 9 of the last 12 years. That 2021 team now part of that amazing stat.
I mean, just what a ride that team took us on last year, because it truly was, I mean, just a lot of question marks coming into the season, just a late start for Coach Q and just getting that coaching change opportunity, and then coming into a team that really had to buy into each other and make things happen. And you're right, there were some close calls. That Round Rock game, I did forget about the Weiss game being so close, and to see this 5-5 Timberwolf team last year go 3 rounds deep into the playoffs and absolutely shock everybody. It was just a testament about how everybody buys into what they can control. And that's what we've learned from the very beginning of that Ross era, but Coach Q has just taken it to a whole new level of just who cares about the outside noise. When we get to the playoffs, it's playoff time, and that's what was so empowering to watch about this Timberwolf team. It was really, I mean, that Buda Johnson game, being on the road to a district champion, and we're 5-5, you know they were riding high. And we had a little bit of fun in that press box that night, banging on the windows, going, ha-ha.
And do you remember the Johnson fans right in front of us? We were on the home side in the press box, looking up after the game and smiling and clapping at us and putting their thumb. They were giving us, our team anyway, a tribute through us.
Yeah, I feel bad for saying that we laughed at them because they actually were really nice. So I take that back. 100%. They were super hospitable and very nice, and they fed us, so that was really nice.
Oh, yeah, great food there. All right, now it's off to see the Willard, the wonderful Willard of Oz. Each show this fall, near the end of our first half hour, we turn the reins over to Josh so that the hot air in his balloon can take the show anywhere he wants it to go. Here's another fascinating voyage through the wonderful world of Willard.
And welcome to the wonderful world of Willard. And truly, I mean, this is just going to be a hodgepodge of information right here, because there's a lot to uncover right now, because my co-host right here, a graduate of the University of Texas. And how do you feel about the new recruit coming to Texas?
Which one?
Arch.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's good. It sounds like we got a whole bunch of them, you know. They got a pretty good, highly rated recruiting class.
Yeah, pretty unreal that Arch ended up committing over to Texas. It's just going to be a really good time to be in Austin right now. Quinn Ewers just won the starting job over Hudson Card. You could have told me that, because Drain the Lake, anybody that plays the Lake Travis, he ain't going to get an opportunity. Nah, I'm just kidding. But still, nonetheless, I mean, things are looking up for the Longhorns. How are you feeling for this year, Brad?
They'll probably suck, but that's okay.
Spoken like a true Longhorn. And but other than that, I mean, just really excited to get this season going. My brother, he's in his second year head coaching over at Mount Vernon, 3A school outside of Dallas, and they went to the state semis. So just definitely pulling for him and all the other coaches in our coaching tree. I mean, that's just remarkable about how many coaches are all over this state. Coach Willis, Coach Schmidt, Coach Q. Just really excited for everybody doing well and having a great opportunity this season. But truly, I mean, what it comes down to, I mean, the biggest thing about my segment is I love just doing a stupid is a stupid does from Forrest Gump. And truly what I have to pinpoint right now in this moment is the Carolina Panthers. That's my team. I'm going to take them down. And we have the most electrifying quarterback room right now. Sam Darnold, who got mono, Baker Mayfield, who played at Lake Travis, so that is what it is, and we got Matt Corral. I mean, talk about absolutely electric quarterback room.
Who's going to win that job?
You know, I will never ever pick Baker just because he played at Lake Travis. So I really do hope Sam Darnold can get over his woes. He was the leading rusher in NFL in the rushing touchdowns going into Week 3 last year. So if we could just figure out how to push that through, but really, I mean, right now it's on Matt Rule. It's going to be on him to figure out how to make this thing work. But if we can get the right quarterback in there, then I think I might be able to pull for him. But honestly, I feel like the stupid as stupid does is on me because I'm the Carolina Panthers fan this year.
Are you stupid or something? Honestly, as stupid as a stupid does.
Stupid is as stupid does, but I'm still going to pull for him because that's my team.
Well, you have a right to pull for him. Do you remember when we played, Coach will remember this, we played Lake Travis at DKR in the playoffs in 11. And it was the second time we played them that year. They beat us by some small number of points at home in the district championship game. Then 4 weeks later, they beat us by a similar small number of points in the regional finals, I guess it was. And remember that Baker Mayfield never did squat against us? His numbers were, like for both games combined, his numbers looked like an average quarterback in one game. His defense did such a good job against that guy. And I remember going to the restroom at halftime and walking by the print media people, all the newspaper people who were there covering some game in the press box. And, Coach, I was walking by, and one of them, remember, they ran that quick spread offense where they just hustle, and it was 3 and out about 7 times for them in the first half. And this guy said, well, that Baker Mayfield can get his team to 4th down faster than any quarterback I've ever seen in my life. I thought that was wonderful. All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, our guests, head coach Michael Quintero, Yancey Culp, Kathy Tam. Stick around. You're listening to Timberwolf Night in America live from Alzer's Barbecue right here in the heart of Cedar Park on the Vype Live Network.
You know the Alzer family. They've been involved in Cedar Park sports for years, just as Alzer's Barbecue has been involved in Cedar Park cuisine for years. It's one-of-a-kind, authentic Texas barbecue. Brisket, turkey, chicken, lamb, terrific sides and sauces. It's sheer succulence. That's Alzer's Barbecue, next to the Shell Station on 1431, just east of Lakeline. Open Friday through Sunday, every weekend.
As the #1 Ford volume dealer in Central Texas, Covert Ford has hundreds of new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from. They can even assist you with custom ordering your dream car, truck, or SUV. Since 1909, when you shop at Covert Ford, you're more than just a customer. You're part of the Covert Ford family. Visit covertford.com or stop in for a test drive to experience the Covert commitment to excellence.
#1 volume sales dealer in Austin based on total new retail sales. Ford Report 2021, Austin, Texas, Metro Market.
In the battle for barbecue supremacy, warriors pit prime meats, secret sauces, and recipes against one another. Yet one champion stands alone. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, in the modern-day vernacular, where bad means good. Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue has the worst barbecue in Texas.
What is Vype Live? Vype Live is one of the largest and most respected broadcast and live stream networks in the state of Texas. Vype Live broadcasts any sport you can think of for youngsters of any age, from Pee Wee and Pop Warner to high school, club, college, semi-pro, and beyond. We also broadcast plenty of academic, fine arts, and community-related events as well, and now as partners with Flow Sports. Email us at info@vypemedia.com to find out more. Vype Live. We bring your teams to you.
I got stuck there. Now, if you ever listen, like you are right now, to our band playing our fight song, and then you listen to the University of Kansas Jayhawk band playing that fight song, because that's where we got it from, our band sounds a hell of a lot better than theirs. There's a better tempo. There's a better emphasis on which instruments you're hearing in each part. It's just a better version.
But aren't we back to back state champions, that band?
To back. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, welcome back. Episode 1, Timberwolf Night America 2022, live from Alzer's Barbecue here in Cedar Park. I'm Brad Cohn, joined by Josh Willard, Shane Showinski, our QA tonight here on the Vype Live Network. We are kicking off our 2022 coverage of Cedar Park Timberwolf football. Now, our first guest tonight, the head cheese, the captain of this enterprise, head coach Michael Quintero.
How's it going, fellas? Good to be back.
Unfortunately, Coach, we're just going to have to pass this mic back and forth. Our technical problem we had tonight is that these microphones on our headsets don't work. We can still hear the broadcast and the various sounds we use on them, so we're using the headsets for a listening device, but we got to pass this dang mic back and forth. So for new fans, tell folks how you got here and why this is your second stop.
Well, was here from, 2006 to 15, spring of 15, I guess, and ended up going with Coach Willis at Metroplex. Trying to get a little bit closer to family, and ended up Coach Ross calls me out of the blue and says, I'm going to Red Oak. And I said, I had no idea where that was. And wanted me to get over there, and we started rebuilding along with Josh's brother. Donut. And yes, and totally transformed. But we went over there and picked a Red Oak program up with, and turned it around and got a phone call on this one, and I couldn't turn it down. This is the one place I said I would always come back to if I ever could. I love it here. Community's awesome. Fans are awesome. Program's awesome. So it's like a second home to me.
You know, you're not alone in that sentiment, because I've talked to other coaches who were here before who've said the same thing. If they ever hear the job's open, man, they'd come right back here in a red-hot instant. So there's just something about this place. Last year, you came in, new coaches, just about all of them changed over. There weren't a lot who stayed. You had not a lot returning. The cupboard was almost bare with all those seniors gone. Like we said earlier, the largest senior class ever to leave. Yet, kept the record going of not a losing season since any of these players have even been alive, and a 3-deep run in the playoffs. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts about that team.
I think the team was really resilient. Change. I've told everybody, change is never easy for anybody. And when you have a new coach come in, and you've had such a great coach that was there before, who's one of my best friends, by the way, it's hard for kids to take that change. And I felt like it took us a little bit to get to know each other. You learn who your players are, and they learn who we are. And I think by the time we hit district, I felt really good about what we had. We had a lot of talent on the field, and we had kids that were just fighters. And I think that's a testament just to the program itself, because of just the teams that were before, what the kids have been ingrained with since they were in youth football here, and they've seen what success is. And I don't think I could have asked anything more from them. By the time we ended the season, I think they showed a lot of people that they were wrong about what they could do. I know you mentioned a couple games that we should have won. Absolutely. I mean, we're plays away from closing a game out, and I think that was part of the growing pains with that group, is just learning how to finish a game. But I tell you what, I think they finished the season strong. I felt like they had a lot of confidence going into the playoffs, and I was really proud of them. I don't think I could have asked for anything more from those kids.
Let's look at the extremes. Tell us about, where do you think was the low point in the season, our worst performance, and then where do you think was the high point, our best performance in your judgment?
Oh, the lowest for me was probably the Hendrickson game. Because I felt really good going into that game, and just the mental mistakes that we made in the game hurt us a lot. I felt going into the playoffs, I felt pretty good. Anytime you win in overtime, I mean, you're gonna work pretty high with that. But I think the high point and the best game, like you said, was the Angleton game, because that was really, really what the team was. I think that was the one game that we put together that was really complete, and that's what they were capable of. So going into the Pato game, I felt like we could go with them. I mean, you're always going to feel that way, and we were probably a few plays in that game from keeping it tight as well. But if you're going to lose to somebody, I guess it's not so bad if you're losing to the state champions. You don't want to lose anyway. But and I don't take that real light. I'm really being lighthearted with that. But I would say the Angleton game was probably the highlight. I mean, it really was.
Yeah, I think the score was 45-14 or something, and they were ranked most of the year. And I remember you texted me after that game was over, about 10 or 12 minutes after the game was over. You said, "That's the first time we played 4 quarters all year."
Yeah, I mean that was the complete game. All season for us it was like we're gonna play the first half, we're playing the second half, and or we start slow and the teams that we play, and you see our preseason, people think we're nuts over here that we play the preseason that we do and we scrimmage in Westlake, but that's something that's been done here forever. And to me, you're going to have to play those teams because you're getting an idea of what your team is. You're finding out who your team is, and your kids are figuring out what they got to do to beat the best. And so I felt like, with our preseason and going into the season, I felt really good about, what we did, because we did show some really good things. But with the schedule we play, you can't start slow. You got to start fast, and you got to finish 4 quarters. I mean, that's why you play the game. And so I felt like by the time we hit the playoffs, we were finally starting to finish and do the things that I knew the team was capable of doing.
And so when you came over at Cedar Park, you weren't able to have that full spring ball, that whole the off-season workouts. And now after doing a complete season and getting to know these players a little bit more, how was this past spring and just kind of going into the summer with this group of kids?
I'm going to go back to the off season. I think that going to the off season, it was a time for us to recharge and put a little more degree on the program. I went back to some old things that we did and things that I've been taught in the off season, and we just got back to the grit work, accountability and big time leadership. I felt like the kids worked hard. I felt like they earned a great spring. In spring practice, and we got guys that put on weight, went back to the 4 core workouts, and we got some guys that we were. If you look at the pictures that we took before we started off season and when we ended, you got some guys that really transformed, and from just watching that, you see the development spring, with the strength and conditioning that we're doing, the added conditioning that Yancey does. And just some of that bonding that the kids have made it a lot better spring, because you're able to evaluate as well. That's something that coming in late, you're still trying to get to know kids and you're moving puzzle pieces around. Spring ball gives you a chance to really have that puzzle put together before fall hits, and by the time you hit the summer, you're just polishing. You may move some things, but you're polishing and you're adding to what you have, and so that's a lot more confidence. Or adds confidence going into the season that we have. So I feel really good about that, because we did have a really, really good spring. We had a physical spring, and that's something that that I want, and we showed some of that against Westlake as well the other night. Obviously playing a really good football team. I was really proud in a lot of spaces that I thought that I really had question marks with. Obviously, we struggled at times, but there were a lot of positives coming out of that scrimmage and figuring out who our team is, and we are a gritty team. I'm just telling you, and people, and I love it when people say, the naysayers, and I've heard that a lot here. When I first got here and when we started working in this program, a lot of naysayers about what we're capable of, and I'm just telling you, this team is gritty. They're tough, and I'm telling you, they're gelled, and that's what I love about this group. So I'm excited.
So, Coach, you mentioned that Westlake scrimmage. I love it, the fact that not only do we not play Aikens and Del Valle and Connolly in the regular season, but we'll play people like Cedar Ridge and Vandegrift and so forth to get better. You got to lift big weights to get stronger. I like the fact that we've scrimmaged Westlake for about 10 years in a row, and people may not realize, because you kind of flush those things, we pretty much have split with them in these 10 years, including a couple of years ago when we outscored them 7 touchdowns to 2, and they end up being the undefeated 6A state champs. So this program can hold its own against Westlake, and we're very proud of that. So I know you told me you don't look at the predictions, you don't look at Texas football and all that stuff, but they they paid us some respect. The only teams they picked ahead of us are ranked like number 3 and number 7 in the state, in our district, the 2 College Station teams, and we're next right underneath that, and they ranked us number 21. So, there's some respect still for this program out there. Talk about the other teams that they've put below us, Georgetown, everybody else. Who in that group might be a rising star and we still might want to watch out for?
I always think Georgetown. Georgetown's all. I mean, if you go back in the history of the games that we've had, it's always been close. Georgetown's always well coached. Coach Griffin over there and their staff always do a great job. Their kids are always prepared, and it's almost a rivalry game. If you really look at the games that we've had all the way back, first time I was here, it was always a game that we knew we had to be prepared for. So I think Georgetown's a sleeper with that group. I think that I think all the teams are going to be prepared for them because they're always going to come out solid, and they do play pretty physical football. So I get a lot of respect for those guys over there, but we always won't beat them. So
now I think you're aware of this. I think you and I talked about this, but the program is in a place that it hasn't been in since 2008 in one kind of important regard, and that is this is the first time since that season that we're starting a season, a campaign, with no players on the varsity roster who've ever taken a varsity snap at quarterback. Talk about your quarterbacks and how they're doing right now.
I want to start. I mean, the work ethic those guys have put in has been unbelievable. They've really bought into the system that we're doing. Students of the game, and I think Coach Pedraza has done an unbelievable job with those guys. Right now we've got Aiden Arp, taking the snaps with our first group, and talk about a born leader. It's him. He's kind of that silent leader. He can give you that look, and he just demands the respect that he has. I really, really enjoyed watching him the other night, because he was put in some situations where he was going to have to handle adversity, and he did well. I mean, his demeanor is always pretty smooth. He's calm, and you got to have that out of a quarterback. If you noticed in the scrimmage, there was times where he took off running, and he had runs built in. And people were like, well, were they blowing the whistle? I said, yeah, I had him blow the whistle. I don't need him hit. But what people don't understand about Aiden is he's a runner. He can run, and he's a big-bodied kid. He reminds me of Max Sexton. He's kind of built like him in a way. I think he's a little bit faster, when on the ground. And so we're going to be able to utilize him a little bit more. Aiden Long. He's kind of our little scat daddy back there. We're going to do some things with him. He can run. We're going to use him in some versatile packages that we have. I don't think we can just keep him on a sideline. He's too good of an athlete. So I'm excited about him. And then obviously Panani, who Panani's just a kid he's just a do-right kid. You tell him to do something, he's going to do it. And I think he's got that brotherhood with those quarterbacks, and I think that's a pretty strong room. They're all great-willed. They all work hard, and they're all leaders. So I've been really proud of that group. But it's going to be exciting to watch Aiden taking the snaps this year. He's going to surprise some people.
Yeah, that boy Aiden Arp, he thick with 3 C's. I'm telling you, that's like Drew Russo back there. I don't see no Max Sexton. I see somebody that's ready to run over someone.
Also, all of them are underclassmen, right? So, I mean, that's terrific. And when you're talking about having at least a couple of guys who are pretty good runners, have some running plays for them, it sounds like the offense is going to change a little from what we've been used to for years, which is 55 throws in a game, and 19 runs.
Back to what we know.
Back to more, and you know what it sounds like to me? A lot like a Brian Hogan kind of offense, where the quarterback has runs on purpose all the time, and we did pretty well with Brian Hogan.
Yeah, I told Coach Abson when I came out. I said we're going to be a little bit tougher with the run game. I said I'm so disappointed you got away from power football. I was giving him a hard time. Obviously you're always looking at the group that you have and what fits, because I've always been told by Coach Ross and Coach Willis, your games have got to go. Your schemes and things have to it's got to adapt with your kids. And so I think with what we're doing right now, it fits with who we have, what we have, and the demeanor of our kids. We're just getting back to the run game and being able to throw off those. I think that we'll be a little more versatile. Not to say that any offense is better than the other. It's just I think this is what fits our kids. So I feel really confident about that.
All right, good deal. Now, Tell us a little bit about the defense. I know you're a defensive guy at heart. The Black Rain, you got Brent Britton there running that group. How's that looking?
Right now we're fast. We're really, really fast on defense, and that's something that is funny because I was talking to people after the Westlake scrimmage, and they said, "How, the D line is really, really small." I said, "They are really small. They're smaller than what we're used to in the past few years, but it's back to what I'm used to here." We've had guys like that, but that was the one question mark that I had going into the scrimmage is, are we going to be able to hold up with our front three? And they held up the whole scrimmage. They really held up the whole scrimmage. I don't think there was one play where we just had a D lineman that was just knocked out off the line of scrimmage. I mean, we established it with Westlake, and I felt really good about that, especially with the kids up front and the size that we had. So we're moving them a lot more. And I was really, really, that was a highlight for me in that scrimmage because that's what I told them going in. I said, this is going to be a test for y'all. And I felt like they answered it, and it answered some things for me going into the season. So I really, really feel confident with that group up front. And we've got about 5 of them that are rotating in, and then they're all solid. So I feel good about that.
And receivers, we lost some receivers from last year, and not a lot of yards coming back or catches coming back. Who's really stepping up there right now for us?
Right now, we got a few guys that have stepped up there. We've got Carter Wall, who's he's a playmaker. He's a great route runner, stems routes well, finds ways to get open. He's got it, like I said, he's got a pretty solid demeanor when it's over. He just finds ways to get open and catch balls. You've got Gavin Chapa, who Gavin's a funny kid. I mean, you want to talk about kids full of confidence? That's him. And he's going to let everybody know that. So him and Carter at the slots, we're going to be able to move them around a little bit and get them into some matchups that I think are going to be good for us. Out on the edge, we've got David Duplanche, who I'll tell you about. David is a guy that I challenged in the spring. And he is completely. I don't know if the right word is to say he's proven me wrong, but he has proven me that he belongs on the field. And I've been really proud of him because he's worked his tail off. Gavin Horton's another one. Tall receivers on the outside. I think Gavin is another one that has come in and he got into spring football and just said, "Look, I'm going to outwork people, and I'm going to find a way on this varsity team, and I'm going to be somebody that you're going to have to count on." And I've been really proud of him. So our receiving core, I feel, is very well rounded. I feel like we've got guys that are going to be able to get open and make plays and move the chains. So I feel really good about that.
I hope you're listening out there, boys. If you're getting a shout-out from Coach, you better put it into another gear tomorrow.
Yeah, don't make a liar out of him now. Come on. I'm really happy to hear, too, about that. You said the defense is fast. To me, I was a defensive player as a strong safety, and I was a very good tackler. But to me, the hard part about defense is they know where they're going and when they're going there, and they got people between you and them before you can stop them. And the hard part about defense was getting to the point of issue quick enough to not make it a good play for them. To me, tackling was easy. I mean, I got there, and they were frapping down right here. No more steps, no falling forward all the time. I was good at tackling. It was tough to get there. That was the hard part of defense to me. And you saying these guys are fast, that buoys my hopes.
Yeah, that's what I think if we're going to hang our hat on something this year, it's going to be the speed of our defense. I think on the back end, we've got some guys back there that can run the alleys. We're solid at the corner spot, which I feel really about. We lost some guys out there this last year, and so we're going to have to fill those shoes. Garrett Nichols was a kid that this last week went over and covered the Great House kid and did an unbelievable job for a kid taking his first varsity rep versus the number one team in the state and Notre Dame commit. I felt he had a lot of confidence, and I don't say that lightly. I'm just saying that Garrett went out there and just played with a lot of confidence. So that gives me again, that's another bright spot. We got a youngster that's going out there, and he's playing with confidence, and I just think that he's got room to grow. He's going to help our defense out. Cole McLaughlin went in and did some really, really good things the other night. Cole's just an athlete. He's just an athlete. He doesn't look real big. He doesn't look big at all, but the thing that he is, he's just an athlete. He's real instinctive on the ball. So I feel really good with him. And then our linebackers, I was really proud of. We got stuck a little bit in the middle some with Westlake's big O-line, but we made some really good plays. I feel like we're filling gaps better. And our 2 outside linebackers on their blitz game is really fast. You're talking about Isaiah King, and you got, Case and Cave, who we call him Bam Bam. I said, yeah, it's a big name. I said, yeah. I told him, I said, you're inheriting a name that's got a lot of tradition to it. So, but he's a kid that's not afraid to sacrifice his body. So, he's my type of kid on defense. He's a knucklehead. I mean, and he's not afraid. So.
All right, we've been talking with head coach Michael Quintero. Coach, stick around because we're going to come back to you near the end of the show to talk a little bit about this week's game with Cedar Ridge and what you're thinking is going to be going on there. We're going to take another short break, and when we return, more nonstop honking of the Cedar Park football horn right here from Alzer's Barbecue on Timberwolf Night in America. This is the Vype Live Network.
You know the Alzer family. They've been involved in Cedar Park sports for years, just as Alzer's Barbecue has been involved in Cedar Park cuisine for years. It's one-of-a-kind, authentic Texas barbecue. Brisket, turkey, chicken, lamb, terrific sides and sauces. It's sheer succulence. That's Alzer's Barbecue, next to the Shell Station on 1431, just east of Lakeline. Open Friday through Sunday, every weekend.
Army Ant Moving calls Cedar Park home. They are Cedar Park movers that you can count on. Army Ant Moving stands above the rest. Their reputation speaks for itself. They received the Angie's List Super Service Award for the last 2 years. Their staff is professionally trained and certified, so you can be assured that your cherished household possessions are in good hands, whether you're leaving, arriving, or just relocating to the Cedar Park area. Call them today for a fast, free, and competitive moving quote at 800-497-5828.
Hey high schoolers, are you interested in a career in sports media? Vype can help. Launched in 2017, our Vype U Ambassador Program is a one-of-a-kind educational scholarship program that offers high school students a chance to gain hands-on experience in the sports media field. Vype U also gives students a platform to build their portfolio of creative work under the guidance of Vype's seasoned professionals. From covering games to publishing photos, writing articles, and conducting on-camera interviews, each Vype U ambassador receives an immersive experience geared toward their interests, while promoting their own school and preparing them for their future. Email info@vypemedia.com to find out more about Vype U today.
Well, what is that in the background there?
Oh, you know that sax. You know that sax.
Pretty saxy sax. It sounds awful familiar. I think this is something we've heard before.
I mean, Cedar Park started this tradition for sure. You know all the other schools copied us in LISD.
I noticed that. It's elsewhere, too. A lot of people. There's a lot of traditions. We'll have to do a special issue on that sometime on the show. All the things around here, the high school teams that we were the first to do. And this is one of them, playing Metal Shop right after halftime. There's your state champion, back-to-back state champ, playing Metal Shop. We're here live at the field every Friday. All right, welcome back. Episode 1, Timberwolf Night in America for 2022, live from Alzer's Barbecue. I'm Brad Cohn. He's Josh Willard. Shane Showinski, our QA tonight here on the Vype Network, bringing you all the stuff from right here in the heart of the 613. We've been talking with our first guest of the season, head coach Michael Quintero. This next half hour, we'll hear from conditioning expert Yancey Culp, our online influencer Katie Whitmarsh, and Booster Club VP Kathy Tam. But before we go on, I want to take a quick run through the season schedule. It's a bit different than last year's because of the biennial UIL district realignment. Of course, at Cedar Ridge, the Palace coming up. Then we host Vandegrift, then we travel to Round Rock. Then there's a bye, and we'll still have a show that week here. Then the district schedule starts, 7 games. We are hosting Eastview. Then we are in College Station for A&M Consolidated. We might as well just get a hotel and stay there because the next week we're right back for College Station. Then we're back home for Hendrickson at the Gup, Glenn at the Book, Leander at the Gup, and at Birkelbach for Georgetown to close out the regular season. Before we get back to our guests, here are the other games for teams in our district, 11-5 AD1 during this opening week. Eastview will host Westwood. Hendrickson opens on the road at Belton. Georgetown visits Coppers Cove. Leander hosts Pflugerville. Glenn on the road at Pieper. That's Nick Rogers' new team. A&M Consolidated hosts Huntsville. College Station plays Lucas Lovejoy, Chris Ross's team.
I mean, there could be quite a few teams in our district that start 0-1, and you just kind of you like that everybody's trying to get that competition. But that's a Cedar Park thing. Come on, we want the competition. You guys get those slack teams, those 4A teams, 3A teams. We want the competition. But still, I mean, that's exciting to see that Coach Ross gets to take a hack at some of our competition.
Yeah, you're right. And, we've twice made it to a state championship game with the team that started 0-1. So it's not like it's hard. Right. Now, Texas Football Magazine puts out a list called 40 Under 40, and it's in their estimation the top young coaches in the state. One of our former players and one of our former coaches are on that list, Brad Willard of Mount Vernon and Nick Rogers at Vype.
Yeah, Brad, just super proud of my brother. Just turned 30 this year and took Mount Vernon on his first season on the post-Art Briles era back to the state semifinals and just kind of revalidated that this is his time. This is Brad's time to really come into this role as a head coach. And I know that he's really excited about the team that he's bringing back. So just really gearing for Brad to have a big season is also Coach Rogers. This is their first season playing varsity football, and they've got great facilities over there at Piper. And that was a tough loss losing Coach Rogers for sure. But so just definitely still pulling for him still.
All right, next up on tonight's guest list, our program's longtime conditioning guru, the indispensable Yancey Culp.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. It's been a fun off season. Coach Quintero's first full off season back in the in the first time in the saddle here at Cedar Park, and I feel crazy blessed. I've had 4 straight coaches here: Coach Ross, Coach Willis, Coach Abzak, and Coach Quintero that trusted me. I always say thank you for trusting me with your young men, to the coaches and the parents, and we've had an amazing offseason. When Coach Quintero says they're dialed in and they're tough, this team kind of reminds me of 2012 when you guys know we went in and we were a small senior class. We didn't have a lot of key seniors. We were salty at the sophomore and junior level, and the few seniors that we did have, they had their you-know-what together, and they were great leaders, and we had some young leaders as well. And that team reminds me of this team. This team reminds me of that team because, even though we're a small senior class, they are truly dialed in right now.
Yancey, I introduced you as our program's conditioning guru. What do you think? When in your mind, what kind of title would you have as a role of our program? Is there anything any better than that?
I think a sports performance coach.
Okay.
I'll tell you a quick backstory on that. 2006 and 7, I was coaching over at Round Rock Middle School. I can't remember the name, but the one closest to Round Rock High School. And I had probably 7 or 8 kids coming. Chisholm Trail, there you go, Josh. Kids coming from 7 or 8 high schools. And there was one Saturday, I was like, wait a second, I got about 30 kids here, and 17 of them are from Cedar Park. We need to move this to Cedar Park and just make it all Cedar Park, and the rest is history. That was in 07. The 2012 graduating class, the Felix Romeros, the Zach Horns, the Micah Bernardos, and all them, the Alex Curls and Brian Hogans, I had probably 15, 20 of them. And it like I said, just having the coaches that trusted me. But I would say sports performance coach, and basically somebody that the coaches can trust when they would love to have more time with them. Every coach would love to have more time, but it doesn't matter if it's UIL, NCAA, or the NFL. There's you only get so much time with them. I like to be an extension of the program, and the way I do it is a little different. A lot of the schools that are a powerhouse year after year after year, they have somebody working with their kids. I just don't work with kids from any other school. I'm just a Cedar Park guy, and I've always devoted my time to our Timberwolves, and that's just the way I do it.
And me and my brother, we got to start working out with you. My brother, a little bit more physically gifted than me, you might say. But I'm a little brother, so I'm going to tag along wherever Brad's going to be. And so when Brad really started hitting the ground running, that he wanted to pursue college football and make that his goal, I definitely jumped on board. And so it was with the Zach Horns, Mikey, Sam Castor. Oh, I mean, there was a good. Animal Hide. Oh my gosh, the nickname, Mr. Hip Flexibility, and Zach Whelan. I mean, we had a good group of guys, and just kind of what got this whole idea starting as being a performance coach? Like, how did you get to that point to say, I want to do this?
Well, if you study the Allens, the Carrolls, the other dominant program, the Lake Travises, that have had many years of success, most of them have something in place to where, okay, I can't be with you, but I have you as somebody that we can trust. The only difference is that some of the programs that are out there, they're working with 7 or 8, 9, 10 different schools in the area. You know, you take performance course up in the DFW area. It's just, you know, I don't choose to go work with other schools in our district and whatnot. I just stay highly focused on the Timberwolves. It's like it's second family to me. It truly is. You know, that's I really mean that. This is, you know, if I told my kids we were moving, they'd be like, "You're crazy, Dad. We're not going." If my wife said we're moving, I'm like, "You're crazy. We're not going."
And speaking of your wife, Amy Culp, very respected nutritionist for the Longhorns for several years. And you probably know this. If not, I'm going to tell you right now. My middle daughter, Allison Cohn, is alive because of Amy. Allison got anorexia 2004 and 5, and Amy was her nutritionist and kind of also an unofficial therapist, and helped to get into her head and set in the ideas that she needed to get free of that. And she had a lot of other help too, but it started with Amy's work with Allison, so we'll be forever indebted to Amy.
Yeah, she's been the full-time director of sports performance nutrition for University of Texas since 2012. And she, you know, when you're in my world and you're trying to improve, you know, performance, I like to say there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. And it's hard for me to admit this sometimes as a fitness coach, but really and truly the sports performance, strength and conditioning side of it is 30-40%. The nutrition side of it, sleep, the rest, recovery, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and she is damn good at what she does. She's got about a team of 7 or 8 dietitians there at UT, and they divide and conquer all the sports, but, you know, football and the swimming program are probably her 2 keys. But she's good at what she does, and she has the opportunity to come in and speak to the Timberwolves from time to time. She just spoke with Hunter Russell, track and cross-country coaches, kids, and yeah, I've just through osmosis, I've learned a lot in the Culp house just by listening to her coach me over the years.
All right, we've been talking with Yancey Culp, fitness guru, but more appropriately then, sports performance coach.
Yeah,
that's what we'll start calling Yancey. Thanks a lot, Yancey, here on Timberwolf Night in America. And our next guest is a young lady who's a Cedar Park senior, an accomplished photographer, and an online influencer for Cedar Park football and other sports, and that's Katie Whitmarsh. Katie, come on over. Katie, we had some issues with our microphones tonight, so we're just passing back and forth this handheld mic, so, you know, kind of about this far, and you'll be all right.
Sounds great. I'm doing great. Actually, very excited to do this. My first time doing something legit like this, so I'm excited. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for that compliment.
Yes.
Katie Whitmarsh, good friend of ours.
Put that as a
good
song.
friend of
Put
ours.
that as a soundbite.
Yeah. Katie, you know, I say the programs, the athletic program, really, online influencer. Tell those of us who are older than that what that really means. What is it you do for everybody?
Yeah, so I'm the anchor and the sports director, or a co-anchor, I should say. It's not just me, of the school news, the Wolfcast. We play every day during Den, our little period of study time, but really we get to take over everyone's screen, and you get to hear me and my 2 friends, Abby and Jack, talk all day long. It's a great time. I personally get to go out and report all of the sports games, specifically basketball and football. I get to go sidelines of all of those, get footage. I make hype videos. We do a sports report every Monday and Friday that I get to host and basically talk about how good our teams are.
Also, did you work with Snoop Daniel doing some reporting on Friday nights?
Yes, Snoop, I love him. He is an amazing human. He does great things with Flex. Him and I work, we communicate about this and that. You know, specifically basketball season, I work very close with him for the girls basketball team. State games, we sit next to each other. Playoff games, we're always buddy-buddy. He's a really great guy, and I really appreciate it. He's kind of like a mentor to me. He's just like so cool. He's out there, he's doing his job, and he does a very good job of it. So I definitely hang out with him, I would say.
I was actually like one of the first Flex reporters back in the day. Yeah, it's me and Snoop go way back too. But so what got you into wanting to do this type of role? Do you have somebody that's inspired you?
Yeah. Honestly, I have to give it all to Coach Ott, the girls basketball coach. Ott, he is a family friend. My mom and his sister-in-law are like best friends. I was randomly in Spanish class one day, and he pulled me out of class with Coach Romero and was like, hey, we need someone to do social media. You can travel with our team. You'd be on the team. You basically get to just chill with us and take pictures, post them, make a social media. I don't care what you do something. And ever since then, I told Mr. Garcia, who's our broadcast advisor, also an amazing person. He for sure is a mentor. I look up to him in so many ways I can't even list. And I basically was like, hey, I was given this position. He was like, oh, cool, you're going to start doing sports for the Wolfcats too. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing that now. And now I'm here, and this is my second year as a sports director, and we're ready to, it's going to be a great year, yeah.
Several years ago, the first year of the Wolfcast, they invited me on one Friday before the big Vista Ridge game in 2010, and talked to me about a game for about 4 or 5 minutes. It was Jeff Lowe, I think, was the guy.
Lowe.
Yeah,
Barstool Sports.
He invited me on, so we talked football for 4 or 5 minutes on that. So that's pretty cool. That's a great facility you guys have got. Sitting there too.
Yes. So it's funny that you mention that we have a desk, a legit news desk, donated to us by KView. It was their old desk that they actually used. They renovated, got a new space. We're like, oh, we don't really need this anymore. So they were like, oh, let's give it to them. And so that is what we use. So it is a legit set. It's real. It is functioning. Our architecture and like welding classes came in a couple years ago. Deconstructed it, took it apart, took out the screws, put it in our building, in our room, in our studio, put it all back up, and now that's what we use every day.
The last time I saw you talk to you was at the ring ceremony for the state champs, right? Did you get a ring?
I did. Let's go! I have a ring, yes. I opted out last year, so because I was like, I don't know, I think I mentally knew we were going back. I knew we were going back because I told myself I'm not going to get a ring. I have a medal. I have 2 medals, and I carry those with pride. And I was like, I'll just get another one next year, and I did. And so I do have a ring. It is my prize and possession. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there because I was getting one too, and those things are gigantic. I've had other state championship rings before. This is much bigger than any of them. It's like you got an aircraft carrier on your finger. It's an amazing little thing. Well, Katie, anybody want to say give a shout out to here before we move on?
Yes. Definite shout out to my parents, Jenny and Doug, my #1 supporters. That's what everyone calls them. That's what they go by, Jenny and Doug. Love them the most. The rest of my siblings, definitely Mr. Garcia, Coach Ott, all of the basketball girls, everyone in broadcast, specifically Abby and Jack, my anchors. I love them so much. And yeah.
All right, thanks. That's Katie Whitmarsh, our online influencer for Cedar Park Athletics, with most of her work going with basketball and football. All right, our final guest tonight, I earlier described as a Booster Club polymath. She's technically the club's vice president, but the word polymath most notably applied to people like Ben Franklin, someone who's developed world-class skills at multiple endeavors. VP is one of many, many roles she's played in the last several years for the Booster Club. Here is Kathy Tan.
Hi, everyone. I am the VP of the Cedar Park High School Football Booster Club, and this is my senior year. Well, my son's senior year, so I've been serving on the booster board. This is my 4th year, so it's been a very rewarding experience.
Do you have any more coming up after Dylan?
No, this is my only one. That's it.
Ah, okay, so we're going to lose you.
No, well, I'll be around. I will be around forever. Forever.
I'm telling you, it does infect you. I thought I would stop what I do with Cedar Park when my youngest graduated, and I thought, no, that's too much fun. I'm going to do this until they kick me out.
I'm not moving. I'm not moving.
So tell us a little bit about the Booster Club and what it's trying to get done at this time of the year, and what its needs are, and if somebody's out there listening and thinks they want to be a part of something as fulfilling as this, what could they do for you?
Well, the Booster Club, what we do, we support the entire program. And what we really need at this time is volunteers. All of our volunteers, they come in, they serve meals to our kids, they work our concession stands, sell spiritware, they make meals for the coaches. So we need we need a lot of manpower. We spend a lot of time doing fundraising. That's also a big part of our program. We thank all of our members and all of our sponsors, because all that money, every penny, goes back in the program, and we buy equipment, uniform, helmets, things that our kids need. And all that supports our program and make it successful.
I just have to give a personal shout out, because I got to go do the spring game in your absence, because you're doing the baseball game, and I probably flopped. Craig was up there with me, and we tried, we did our best I could, but just seeing you in action, on that day, just handling everything. There's no stone unturned that you know everything that's going on, and so just want to give my respects to you for what you're doing for this program, because without people like you, those kids don't get to have the full experience like the other ones have, and so just truly thank you.
You're welcome. Being a Timberwolf is great. It is great.
So Kathy, you're gonna get people coming to work for you, we hope.
Yes.
You've done such a great job with the sponsorship this year. You're just sending me the new list earlier today. We got more sponsors than we've ever had before. And it's important because this year we've only got 4 home games. And so our large, people don't realize how much money we get in from the concessions each home game. That's cut to 80% of what it normally is, only 4 games.
Yes. And I definitely want to thank all of our sponsors that stepped up this year. I think having a great team, and that's what I'm very proud of this year. Our board, we have a great team. We work well together, so we go out and we get the job done. And the positive attitude goes a long way, too.
All right, thanks, Kathy. We hope you're still back next year doing stuff, even though Dylan may be gone.
And how can other parents reach out to you to start volunteering?
Go on our website, and we have a volunteer portal. Definitely sign up. Everything is out there, so we encourage, and we have game this Thursday, so we need concession help, and we need parents to help bring in meals for the coaches. So go check it out right now and sign up. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kathy Tan. That game Thursday, she's talking about the JV game that we'll be hosting. So yeah, need people out working that game. All right, 4 guests tonight. Probably a record, I think, for us, Josh. Yeah, this season a new trivia effort each Tuesday night. In addition to the standard games we'll still play, we're going to pit Josh against each night's roster of player guests. I will ask each side 3 different trivia questions that are all about sports in general. Because of his extra years of, experience and maturity, Josh's questions will be a bit more difficult. Whichever side gets the most correct answers gets a free ice cream treat, on me in other words, from the Alzer's ice cream freezer right over there. I can confirm that in the last several years, Josh has held his own in trivia matchups with the players. We'll see how it goes this season, starting next week with the O-line. All right, since we're in the midst of getting ourselves all hyped up for another fun football season, I got a couple of recordings to play for you. This first one is from 2012. It's one of those white ones that says 2012 there, Josh. That was the year of our first appearance in a state title game. It was also the first year that Josh joined me and Jim Byerly on KMAX Sports calling the games. Mike Rivera was the guy who created the wonderful intros both to this program and each game broadcast. And Mike spent a couple of days creating a very special intro to our broadcast from Cowboy Stadium that night against Lancaster. And I ran across it the other day, and it just brought on a chill. I know you will enjoy this. I know this will pump you up. Here it is.
This is KMAX Sports. Usually radio announcements merely recommend the product, but this station provides its clients with a special service.
The following is a KMAX Sports special presentation available for replay and download at KMAXSports.com.
It's a lot about discipline and leadership, flying to the ball, out-tempoing our opponent.
Great coverage all around for the Black Rain. 2nd and 15, no gain on the play.
Ball right at the 40-yard line, right hash. Twins to the left and right. Kelton Evans in the backfield with quarterback Chris Johnson. Well, he goes in motion, actually, from right to left. Gives to the fullback inside. It's a fumble right at the line of scrimmage. A pile on the ball. It's still moving. Cedar Park's got it.
Timberwolves have lived up to their name.
Second and a little less than 8 at inside the 19. The snap to Graham, play action face, goes over the man over the middle. He's got it! Sam Brock in the end zone for the touchdown. What a play. And so the Timberwolves strike first, the extra point. Here we go, 1st and 10 Timberwolves. Left hash from the 45 of Maynard. Twins to the right side. Brock and Fry. The give. Middleton, off tackle right side, puts his head down and crushes someone down to the 6. What a run. Only 9 yards, folks, but he's turning into a trash comeback.
Hey, we got nothing to lose. We got everything to gain.
The snap. Johnson straight back. Looks right. Ball comes loose. Cedar Park picks it up. Keith Tombe is on his way to a touchdown run. It'll be about 55 yards. Keith Tombe! Timberwolves! Do you believe in Timberwolves? Yes! The Cedar Park Timberwolves in the state championship game.
What we expect is a shutout every game, and basically they do that.
T-Wolves are headed to Cowboy Stadium. They'll play Lancaster next Friday night.
Its form of life unknown.
Live from Cowboy Stadium, this is Timberwolves Championship Football on KMAX Sports.
Its way of life unpredictable.
Step forward and identify yourself. Timberwolves Championship Football starts now.
Welcome to the live worldwide broadcast of Cedar Park football on KMAX Sports. Tonight, the Timberwolves stand on the brink of glory as they play in the state championships game. It's the premium grade blend of scholastic sports in America. Texas high school football, the national sport of Texas. KMAX Sports will bring you every down of tonight's historic clash. Now, let's take you to Arlington and Dallas Cowboys Stadium for the pregame show. Along with color analyst Jim Byerly, Josh Willard, and producer Cecil Kokenauer, here's the voice of the Timberwolves, Brad Cohn.
And pretty much the same crew now, 10 years later. That's pretty darn cool. All right. Buckle your seats for this next one. We've got a recording supplied to me by our good friend Snoop Daniel. Kate and we were talking about a minute ago. And his friends at the Friday Night Fan Stand. It's the final 3 minutes of our broadcast from the GUP in 2010 against Vista Ridge. At this moment, Fan Stand had stopped what they were doing and cut into our broadcast live on their show for these final few minutes. This time, Josh was not in the booth with Jim and me. He was still playing as a senior on that team. So he experienced what we're about to hear Jim and me talking about from down there on the field. The GUP was completely, absolutely full. We were undefeated at 5-0 and ranked number 5. Ridge was undefeated and ranked number 8. We were arch rivals playing for the Mayor's Trophy in what had come to be called the Cedar Park City Championship game. It was back and forth all night. 5 lead changes when with 29 seconds left, Brian Hogan hit Joseph Washington with a clutch 17-yard pass to cap off a remarkable 86-yard drive in less than 2 minutes to pull within 1 at 35-34. Head coach Chris Ross put the undefeated season on the line, and on came the offense to go for 2. Win or lose, sink or swim, live or die, rock and roll.
For Brian Hogan to Joseph Washington.
And we're on live still with Snoop McDaniel and Coach Long, 1370 AM, Friday night fan stand, listening into the end of this terrific football game from the GUP, John Gupton Stadium in Cedar Park. Cedar Park versus the other Cedar Park, Vista Ridge, 35-34 Ridge. Timberwolves just scored a touchdown, and they have sent the offense onto the field. They are going to go for 2, a roll of the dice to keep this undefeated season alive right here. They don't want overtime. They're lining up in the wishbone. Now they switch to 3 wideouts to the right in the shotgun. The snap to Hogan. He's rolling right. He's looking. He passes. Complete to Waterfield. He's in! Waterfield scores! 29 seconds left. Timberwolves take the 1-point lead. Brian Hogan rolls right. Hits Michael Waterfield at the 1. Waterfield scoots it easy.
36-35 Timberwolves. The dream is alive.
All right, you just heard Cedar Park retake the lead on Vista Ridge Lake. 29 seconds left to go in the game, courtesy of KMAXSports.com. Coach Derek Long, Chuck Licata, Snoop Daniel, Casey Johns, and Chris Sanchez. Chuck, your thoughts?
Unbelievable. Coach, we were just talking about, do you go for 2 or 1 here? You said the young guys like to go for 2. Great play by Cedar Park, but Vista Ridge has 29 seconds to work with just yet.
Not over yet.
Wow.
All right, let's go back to the action. Also, Vandergrift and Dripping Springs coming down to the wire. We'll have audio of that, too. This is the Overtime Show, by the way. Friday Night Fan Stand, the next big thing on 1370. Chuck.
By the way, this is Brad Cohn, Jim Byerly, and Ryan McKinley on the call here.
The best thing we can do is have Gray McCullough use that breeze behind him to kick this sucker out of the end zone and not have any sort of return by Vista Ridge, who does send Chris Scholes and Jalen Harris, the 2 fastest guys around, deep to take the kickoff.
Yeah, they're going to put their playmakers back there, and they have all game. Scholes and Harris have been returning kicks all game long. You really hope McCullough kicks this out of the end zone, makes it start at the 20.
Jump start my heart. Cedar Park 36-35. Somebody get those paddles ready. Timberwolves playing not only a good football team, but playing against the Greek gods in fate tonight. This will be a squib kick. It comes down at about the 26 and will be returned up the middle by Sullivan, and he gets it to about the 38-yard line. So about a 12, 14-yard return by Sullivan.
Yeah, that's a tough call. Do you kick it back to the playmakers in case the football doesn't go out of the end zone, or do you squib kick it, give them good field position, and maybe an opportunity to get in position for a field goal?
Now they have no timeouts. They've got to go 62 yards for a touchdown. We don't know how far they've got to go for a field goal. We didn't see their field goal kicker warming up before the game. But let me tell you again, the breeze, not terribly tough, but it is coming from the north. A slight breeze of maybe 2 or 3 knots, maybe 4 knots at times. Enough to take probably 5 yards off of his range, whatever that might be. So here's the snap. Estes back to throw. Under some pressure, throws.
Picked off by Zach Espinosa. Zach, go down. Zach, please go down. Espinosa runs it back to the 30, 25 yards, 12 seconds on the clock. The Cedar Park Timberwolves will keep this one going.
All right. Now, if those 2 clips don't pump you up for Cedar Park football, check yourself into a hospital immediately because your heart is not functioning.
Yeah, that was like one of the greatest memories of all time. I mean, anytime that you can stick it to another LISD school, you absolutely want to be able to do that. And, I mean, coming into that Vista Ridge game, we were definitely riding high. That was something that we might have overlooked that opponent coming into that game just with the squad that we had. But goodness gracious, I cannot. It was Chris Scholes and Jalen Harris. Jalen Harris. They had 2 dogs that could just get after it on the outside. But just that was actually around the same time that Dallas Cowboys backup quarterback was Tony Romo. And so going into the playoffs against the Seattle Seahawks, he had fumbled a snap. And so that was the year prior. I'm the king of laces out. I'm money when I'm back there. And so when we went onto the field to go tie that, I might have been shaking a little bit just because it was crunch time. And then when we called that timeout and they're like, we're going for 2, I was like, it ain't on me. Like, we're all good. Like, well, I mean, you guys go do your thing. And to see those guys execute, I mean, that was just a remarkable, time in Timberwolf history, I feel like, because we had an opportunity to lose that game, but we came together and pulled through. Man, that I was actually in the paper on that. I was actually jumping next to you and Coach Ross on the sideline. I had a sick vert.
Well, that's pretty cool. Now, Josh is right claiming that he's money back there, but I'll point out that it's small change. But anyway, where's my rim shot? Where's my rim shot? All right, I'm going to cede most of this preview Cedar Ridge segment to Coach Quintero. I will point out that last year we beat the Raiders at the Gup 29-7. All-time record between the 2 programs, 2 wins to 1 in favor of the Timberwolves. Cedar Ridge went 7-4 last year, 5-2 in District 25 6A, lost in the first round of the 6A playoffs. They have 5 starters returning on both offense and defense. What are the keys going to be Friday night at the Palmer Palace, Coach?
Well, for defense, I mean, obviously we're going to have to be able to take care. They got a good receiver back, really good receiver back. We're going to have to control. Got a big running back. They busted a couple on us this last year, and we're going to have to do a good job of establishing the line of scrimmage with those guys. You know, they're using 2 quarterbacks right now. They've got one that's more of a passer for them, and they've got one that's back there that can run. So, we got to have two different mindsets when each of them are in the game. We got to have, something for each of them because they're both really, really different. Offensively, I think that, we're going to have to establish the run game. They're really talented in the back end. Their free safety they've got is already committed. I don't know where he's committed to, but he's a player, So I think establishing our run game obviously is going to open up a lot of things for us that we think we can do. But if you go back to me being a lineman, we're going to have to establish a line of scrimmage on both of the groups. I mean, that's going to be the key, if you ask me.
Yep, the O-line and D-line is where it always starts. And Josh, we're getting ready to go again.
I mean, I am so giddy right now. If you can see any of these Timberwolves out in the community this week, please give them a pat on the back. Let them know that you're supporting them. And if you can't make it out to the stadium to go see them at the Palace, you better be locked in on our broadcast.
Indeed. Once again, Booster Club sponsors for this year: Covert Ford, Sewell Land Rover and Jaguar, Mission of Hope, Life Family, Reap Financial, TJ Lewis Real Estate, Raising Canes, Kathy Tam Photography, Mungia Real Estate, ROI Sport Performance and Physical Therapy, One Stop, Rudy's, Army Ant Moving, Majori's, and HEB. And, of course, our great thanks to the Alzer family and Alzer's Barbecue sponsoring our show with hosting it in their facility. So that's it for our season opening episode of Timberwolf Night in America for 2022. Friday night, the team's opener as they go on the road to face the Cedar Ridge Raiders. Kickoff 7 o'clock, Kelly Reeves Stadium, the Palmer Palace. Our pregame show is at 6:45. I'll have the play-by-play Josh with color and analysis, Cecil with technical production and additional commentary as the Timberwolves look to start 1-0. Our thanks to our many guests tonight: the head cheese, Michael Quintero, also Katie Whitmarsh, Yancey Culp, and Kathy Tam. For our QA, Shane Showinski, for my own personal Chris Collinsworth, Josh Willard. This is Brad Cohn signing off. You've been listening to Timberwolf Night in America